So, Vice President Dick Cheney arriving to take his place, and we were, of course, seeing Laura Bush, the First Lady, a few moments ago, putting on her gloves. It is a bitterly cold day in Washington. Well, we can bring in now from Washington one of our other guests this afternoon. His name is Jim Bendat. He's an author, and he's an author of a book called Democracy's Big Day, which is all about the inauguration of America's presidents. Jim, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us here on the ITV News channel. Just try and explain to us how big a deal this is in historical terms.
It's always a big deal here in America. We have a day like this every 4 years. That's very different from just about any other country. In the United States, the election takes place every 4 years in November, and then the inauguration is 2 months later. In other countries, of course, there can be a changing of the guard through military juntas or coups. So this is America's way of showing that we do things in a certain way every 4 years.
It is described as a 3-day celebration. Was it always this big?
Oh no, it has evolved over the years. When it first started, there were no inaugural balls, there were no inaugural parades. Those things started, both of them actually, in 1809 with the inauguration of James Madison and his party-giving wife Dolly Madison. And everything has grown over the years. And we're seeing a lot of that this time as well. Just not long ago, we saw the President and the First Lady drive together from the White House. That's a tradition that began in 1917.
It's about 4 minutes now until the ceremony officially begins. What are we going to see at the start?
At the beginning, there'll be an invocation. There's always a prayer or two. There'll be some patriotic songs, and then Vice President Dick Cheney will be sworn in. Now, the Vice President, who is about to come onto the platform now, the Vice President used to actually give an inaugural address, but that practice stopped in 1933. And one of the more famous stories involved Vice President Andrew Johnson in 1865. He was the Vice President under Abraham Lincoln, and he gave a rambling, incoherent speech while drunk at his inauguration that year.
So we won't be seeing that this year at all, because there is no address by the Vice President, but I'm sure he wouldn't be drunk anyway.
That's correct. Now, the Vice President also can choose anyone that he wishes to swear him in as Vice President. 4 years ago, Vice President Cheney asked the Chief Justice Rehnquist, to swear him in. Today, it will be different. It will be the Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert. The Vice President can choose anyone he wishes.
So once Mr. Cheney is sworn in, what happens after that?
Well, then it'll be the President's turn, and the President will be sworn in. He'll actually be entering the platform very shortly, but he will be sworn in after the Vice President. It is the Chief Justice who always swears in the President. Now, our Chief Justice is named William Rehnquist, and he's been suffering from cancer, and there have been some thoughts that maybe he wouldn't be able to do it today, but he's indicated that he is planning to do so, and that is the tradition. It's been the Chief Justice at every planned inauguration except for George Washington's in 1789 and 1793. Other people did swear in the President at sudden inaugurations following the deaths of President. The most notable, I think, would be 1923, when Calvin Coolidge was sworn in by his own father, who was a local justice of the peace and the notary public in a small town in Vermont.
And here comes the President himself, Jim Bendat. I know you're staying with us right throughout the afternoon. For the moment, thank you. Let's just watch and tune in to the arrival of President George W. Bush.